So I'm out here in Elkhart and I'm here with Rachel, who's the Executive Director of Mosaic. Can you tell me a little bit about what Mosaic is and what you do?
Sure. We work with people with disabilities, intellectual and developmental. We help them in residential settings inside of their home, or we help them with day program activities, community inclusion, and just helping them be part of the community.
How big of a desert is it for services like this for people to be able to stay in their own home? Because I know there's a lot of programs where people might go and live somewhere or go out to somewhere, but a big difference is that you try and keep people in their actual home, which is always makes a big difference. And we're at Julia's home right now, which we will talk to her in a little bit as well. But yeah, tell me about what the difference is with Mosaic.
Okay, so we do have folks who live in their own homes. Some of them are even staffed by their family members, which is a really cool experience. So those caregivers can get paid for the work that they're doing with their loved ones. We also have situations like where Julia is, where she shares rent with other housemates who have disabilities, so that the cost of living is less for them and they're able to remain as independent as possible.
Why is that so important? I mean, I know it's obvious, but just asking, like, it's a big part of your mission, but independence is really key for people's growth and for them reaching their own potential.
Right. Yes, everybody wants to feel like they are doing everything on their own as much as possible. No one wants to depend on someone else.
No.
So we provide our services as much in the background as we can so that the individuals guide how much help they need. We tend to want to overhelp people as humans, but our services really stand out because we let people guide how they want to be served.
And is that different compared to like some of the other agencies in the area, or your mission as executive director? Is that something that's unique to you, or?
Yes, my mission is always serving our neighbors, and that is the best way that we can give back to the community, especially those who tend to have a marginalized voice, to make sure that they're heard and that they can advocate for themselves in the way that they choose.
Is that something that in your life, even in your own role, like, did you imagine you'd be doing this? Why is it special to you to actually do this role?
I grew up with an aunt who had developmental disabilities, and so to me, it's always just been part of life. I never realized I would go into work doing this.
Yeah.
We joke that it's not something that, because you don't hear about this in college. You hear about social work as being a social worker.
Yeah.
So this field is something that once you fall into it, that passion just builds. I mean, you go home every day feeling like you've really done something meaningful for other people.
And for people watching who feel, because often when there's somebody in the home with physical or intellectual disabilities, a lot of people just don't know where to turn. They feel very isolated. Maybe there's a caregiver watching right now. What are the services that you can really help them? So say there's, I don't know, a wife watching right now and she's caring for her husband who might have physical disabilities. Can anybody reach out, or do you have to go through a certain program? Can they just directly talk to you, or how does that work?
Yeah, we can help guide people to how to apply for the waiver or how to get into our services. We're definitely happy to help with that. A lot of it starts at the state and with the Medicaid waiver, but we can help navigate some of that process because it does get pretty complicated at times.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. And do you get inundated with people looking for services, or are there an adequate amount of available services like yours in the community?
We noticed that there are some gaps in services, especially in the ages of transitioning from teen into adulthood, because what do you do next?
Yeah.
And we want to be here to fill that gap.
Well, and I know a huge thing for parents too that have children who have physical or mental disabilities is also thinking about what happens when they're no longer here. It's like the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, but it's a huge thing for people, as you mentioned, going from children into adulthood, because often the children realm is very well covered, and then it drops off a little bit. Once they get to 18, it's like, nope.
Yes, and we're here for that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Julia, who we're going to meet as well. We're going to head inside and meet her. So is this home, as you mentioned, it's a shared rent. Is that something that's owned by Mosaic, or is it a government, or how does that work?
No, this situation is a little unique, but it worked out very well. Julia's mom, her guardian, was able to purchase the home.
Okay.
So she acts as a landlord in that situation and rents the home to the ladies who live here. So they all pay equal rent and have equal access to the house. So very neat situation, because housing is something that we struggle with in our area, just trying to find places to rent that are accessible for our folks.
Now, as you mentioned, Julia has a very unique situation here that her mom was able to act as a landlord, but that's not in everyone's reach. So what other kind of housing is there available to people in the area?
So we have some folks who rent apartments, and so they fill out the application and do the same rental that you or I would if we were going to rent an apartment. Same with housing.
Yeah.
And then we also offer another service, the ICF group homes, which is more of a historical setting that individuals are in. So those are the 5 houses that Mosaic owns that are Medicaid licensed facilities. So we do have 5 of those homes as well.
And is it just, we're in Elkhart right now, is it just Elkhart County, or does it reach out beyond that?
We serve Elkhart County and St. John County both.
Okay. Well, I think we should go in and meet Julia and just learn a little bit more about the services Mosaic is helping her with. So
Sure.
nice chatting with you.
Good to chat with you too.
Hopefully there's air conditioning in there. Whew. All right. So I'm here with Becky and Julia.
Yeah.
Julia, thank you so much for letting us come into your home. How are you today?
Good.
You doing good?
Good. Yeah.
I know that later on today you have an appointment and then you're going to go to the zoo as well.
Yeah.
So we recently went to the zoo. I think because you're going this evening, it's the zoo illumination, which is all the lights that they have there at nighttime. So I think you're going to have a great time. But
Yeah, it sounds fun.
yeah, it is. It's beautiful. Becky, tell me a little bit about your role with Mosaic.
Yeah, so I'm the community relations manager. I've been in this role for about 6 months. So it's been one of the most fun set of months I've had. So my role is pretty simple. I'm relating with the community, right? And so I'm making connections, whether it's churches, businesses, individuals, and my role is really to make sure that people know who we are. And as Rachel has mentioned, we're in St. Joe and Elkhart County.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people aren't really aware of Mosaic, and that's okay. We'll change that. And I have just really enjoyed being able to make those relationships, not just so that they can figure out ways of supporting us, volunteering. Maybe they have a space that we're able to use for a particular need, but then also for families that may have somebody, whether it's a family member or a friend who is in need of some of the services that we can provide.
Yeah, and sometimes there's a lot more people out there that might need your services but just don't know about it.
Correct.
Or they've tried other organizations but there might be a wait or things
Sure.
like that.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your relationship with Julia.
Yeah. So Julia, she is one of my Mosaic friends, right? We first met, obviously when I came to Mosaic. So it's not been very long, but we have a lot in common, don't we? We both play the piano. Yes.
I learned when I was little.
Yes.
Oh,
And
nice.
you learned when you were little, and so did I.
But I think I learned pedals and I forgot.
Yes. Yeah. And that's okay. Some people, I'm a piano teacher too, and some people don't use the pedals anyway.
Well,
So.
I was taught, but I forgot.
Oh, you were taught, you forgot. Yeah.
I decided to do something once, which was I decided to go on YouTube and learn how to play one song on the piano,
Oh.
just so I could appear like I knew what I was doing.
Yes.
But I just repeated that over, but I actually have no idea what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
there's a lot of people like you out there, and we don't. That's a different
I feel like
show.
that was a dig.
That's a different show.
What are some of the services that Julia gets through Mosaic? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we talked about living in this home
Mhm.
with some other people, but what is it that Mosaic does
Right,
for Julia?
Right. So, so at Mosaic, we are a full stop 24/7 provider, right? So she mentioned she had an appointment today, so we'll get her to that appointment, and she'll.
I think my mom's coming here.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's good too. At Mosaic, we're able to facilitate if a family member or guardian wants to be involved and take the individual to their appointment. That's great, but we also have a team that can make sure that all of those things happen. So we have a full medical team here at Mosaic. We also are able to facilitate any other music therapy or behavioral things, all of those sorts of things. Not that we have them on staff, but
You're
we're able to
connect.
collaborate, with the others. We also have day program, which gives us a lot of opportunities to have fun within the community. So our day program is not, we don't have a huge facility where everybody comes and enjoys the day together. We are out in the community.
Yeah.
So we are in the mall. We're going to movies. We're grocery shopping. And we do have a few places, they happen to be churches that have gymnasiums or other
Yeah.
spaces that have opened their doors. And so we're building natural supports and natural relationships in that way and meeting new people.
So you talk about being out and about and letting people know about it, and a lot of people don't. If there's churches or organizations watching and they'd like you to come and speak to talk about what you're doing, how can they get in touch?
Yeah, they just have to email me. Simple as that. They can just get in contact with me and we'll make those arrangements. So yeah, church, Rotary. I'm going to be speaking at the Lions Club here in a couple of weeks. So we love to do that. I hold something called a DTP, which stands for Discover the Possibilities. And we hold those internally a couple of times a month. And it's a free 1 hour, it's either a lunch or we have, really lovely snacks. We like snacks around here, don't we, Julia?
Almost like an open house for people to get to know.
Well, it's not as much an open house as it is an informational time where they'll hear stories. In fact, Julia, your mom will sometimes come and talk about you. Did you know that? How wonderful you are. You did know that, yeah.
Julie, what's your favorite thing to do outside of the house?
I usually don't go.
You
got 2 things today alone. So, but you like it here and you like the independence of living here with the other housemates that you have here?
I don't really see it.
Yeah, you don't always see your housemates, do you? Yeah, because you are kind of doing your own thing, which brings up a good point because they live together, they're roommates, but not roommates, housemates. You all have your own room and they're able to have their own schedules, right?
It's not that they're all kind of being pushed into one thing. It's like the individuals that they are getting the respect and dignity that they deserve as individuals and living their own lives.
You nailed it.
Except for like maybe TV.
Right. You may watch a movie together in the living room in the evening or...
It's like any other housemates that share a house.
Exactly.
They'll do their own thing and then sometimes they'll find some common ground to do things together.
Exactly.
So, and why should they be any different? So.
Exactly. And that's the whole point, right? Just because you have a difference with an intellectual or developmental disability, that doesn't mean that you have any less of a voice, any less preferences, needs. Yeah, just because you have some kind of difference, it does not mean that you are that much different than you and I.
No.
Right? We want community, we want friends, we want options, and Mosaic really focuses in on that independent individuality as much as we can. Obviously, with also keeping our folks safe, healthy, and all of those things. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Julia, thank you so much for letting us come into your home this morning. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.